Welcome to this explainer. Let's dive right into mastering the care of the incredibly resilient, frankly stunning Holly Fern. If you've ever struggled keeping ferns alive, or maybe you just want a bold architectural piece of greenery, you are in the exact right place. We're going to take you from total beginner to fern whispering expert by breaking down everything you need to know. Take a look at these unique sickle-shaped leaves. It gives the fern this bold architectural texture that's just so different. Officially, it's Cyrtomium falcatum, but we'll just call it the Japanese holly fern. You'll notice those dark green leathery leaflets, or pinnae, are a world away from the delicate, lacy fronds you usually see on ferns. They literally look like holly leaves, just, without the sharp, prickly spines. All right, here's our roadmap for today. We're gonna meet the holly fern, map out the perfect growing environment, nail down watering and feeding routines, tackle pruning and propagation, troubleshoot common pests, and finally share some pro tips for absolute mastery. Let's get into it. Section 1, meet the holly fern. It's the tough, glossy rebel of the fern world. What's absolutely fantastic here is that this plant is completely non-toxic and safe for your cats and dogs. Plus, it's built to survive with minimal fuss. It's a clumping evergreen, meaning it keeps that gorgeous, bushy shape year-round in the right climate. It'll eventually max out at a very manageable 1.5 to 2.5 feet tall and wide. It's a slow to moderate grower, so it's not going to suddenly take over your living room, making it the perfect well-behaved house guest. Section 2, the perfect growing environment. We're dialing in light, temperature, humidity, and soil. This plant is just incredibly versatile. If you're keeping it indoors, you want to get it bright indirect light. Think north or east-facing windows. That is an absolute dream setup for this fern. But if you take it outdoors, it actually wants partial to full shade, loving that dappled light under a tree canopy. The one golden rule in both spots: avoid harsh, direct midday sun, or you'll literally scorch those beautiful, leathery leaves. As for temperature, it's perfectly happy in standard room temps, right between 50 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, time for the dirt on the dirt. You want to ensure excellent aeration and drainage. Fern roots really need to breathe, right? If the soil stays waterlogged, they'll just suffocate and rot. So here is the ideal recipe. Mix 2 parts high-quality potting soil with 1 part peat moss or coco coir to hold on to that moisture, and 1 part perlite or compost so the excess water drains right through. You're aiming for a slightly acidic to neutral pH, right around 6.0 to 7.0. Moving on to Section 3, watering and feeding routines. The Goldilocks rule of fern maintenance. Now, unlike those fussy ferns that demand constant wetness, the holly fern is actually pretty drought tolerant once it's settled in. Your best friend here is the top inch test. Stick your finger into the dirt. If that top inch feels slightly dry to the touch, give it a drink. If it's still damp, just hold off. When it is time to water, use lukewarm water and soak it thoroughly until it runs out the bottom of the pot. But, and this is crucial, empty the saucer afterward. Never ever let it sit in a puddle. When it comes to feeding, less is definitely more. These guys are light feeders. You'll want a balanced liquid fertilizer, like a 10-10-10, but you absolutely have to dilute it to half or even quarter strength. Only feed it 2 to 3 times during the entire spring and summer. Oh, and always water the plant first before fertilizing so you don't burn those sensitive roots. Once fall and winter roll around, just put the fertilizer away entirely. Section 4, pruning and propagation guide. Keeping it looking sharp and making more ferns. Pruning this plant is a total breeze. Honestly, it's mostly just for grooming. You're just looking to snip away any dead, damaged, or brown fronds at the base. This redirects the plant's energy straight into new growth. Just remember to cut as close to the soil line as you can without damaging the main crown or those cute little coiled fiddleheads waiting to unfurl. And always, always use sterilized shears. A quick wipe with rubbing alcohol keeps everything disease-free. When spring rolls around and it's time to repot, it is the perfect excuse to turn one massive holly fern into several new ones. Because it grows in clumps, you just unpot it, gently brush away some soil, and look for the natural dividing lines in that thick underground stem, the rhizome. Take a sharp, clean knife, divide the clump, making sure every new section has roots and fronds, and then just repot them at their original depth. Boom, free plants. Okay, quick pause before we move on, because this is so important. If you flip a leaf over and see these round, rust-colored bumps, do not panic. It is not a bug infestation. These are called sori. They're clusters of sporangia releasing microscopic spores. This is just how mature ferns reproduce naturally instead of using seeds. It actually means your plant is incredibly happy and healthy. So whatever you do, don't try to scrape them off. Section 5. Common pests and problems. Let's learn how to read the plant's distress signals. Even tough plants have bad days, so here's a quick symptom checker to figure out what's going wrong. Yellowing fronds with a mushy base? You are almost certainly overwatering, and root rot is setting in. Back away from the watering can. On the flip side, if the edges are brown and crispy, the fern is thirsty, or your air is way too dry. And if you're seeing bleached or scorched patches on those deep green leaves, the plant is getting cooked by direct sunlight and needs to be moved into the shade right away. Now, they are highly resistant to pests, but bugs happen, you know? Keep an eye out for scale insects. They look like hard brown bumps on the stems that you can actually scrape off, totally different from those natural spores we just talked about. Mealybugs will look like tiny white cotton masses hiding in the crevices. If it's outdoors, slugs and snails might chew ragged holes in the leaves, and aphids love to distort tender new growth. Just inspect the undersides periodically and use some insecticidal soap or rubbing alcohol if you spot any unwanted guests. Section 6. Pro Tips for Mastery. The final secrets to absolute success. So what's the deal with the numbers 6 to 10? That represents the USDA hardiness zones where outdoor holly ferns can thrive year-round. They're surprisingly tough and will bounce right back even after a light frost. So if you're in zones 6 through 10, this fern is an absolute rock star for adding permanent, year-round structure to your outdoor landscape. All right, here are the final keys to the kingdom. The absolute golden rule: never bury the crown during repotting. Keep that central growing point right at or slightly above the soil line to prevent rot. If you're growing outdoors in colder zones, throw down some winter mulch for protection. Also, don't stress about humidity too much. They tolerate dry indoor air way better than those delicate maidenhair ferns. And if you're planting them outside, try pairing them with broadleaf hostas or a hart's tongue fern. The textural contrast is just incredible. Armed with all this knowledge, you've got exactly what you need to master this enduring classic. From nailing the soil mix to propagating an entire shaded garden's worth of greenery. So the only question left is, where are you going to put your very first holly fern to conquer the shadows of your home? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and happy growing.